Hello. Welcome to the Total Truth Show, episode 41. My name is Altuney from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And my name is Ken Kleinberg, and I'm coming to you all the way from the USA, San Diego County, California.
And hi, I'm Jackie Nairne, and I'm in the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado.
And today's episode, very exciting. We're going to be unraveling and uncovering the truth about CBD and cannabis straight after this short introduction.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show, hosted by myself, Ken Kleinberg from San Diego County, California.
And I'm Aldwyn, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And our goal here on this show is to help you to break away from the mainstream media propaganda and lies, the disinformation and misinformation that's out there in the mainstream, and really help you to start questioning everything and start doing the research for yourself. We want to punch through all of that disinformation and misinformation. Our goal here is to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass and then pave the way for a new awakened civilization. And we would love for you to come along for the ride. Don't take our word for it. The things that we share here on the show, that goes for our guests too. Start doing the research for yourself. Start going and asking the questions for yourself. Get out there and really find the real truth behind things. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome. There we go.
Oh, welcome. Press the wrong button there. Here we are. Welcome to Total Truth Show. And no, I haven't had a smoke before the show. It's okay. Although I don't mind the old cannabis occasionally myself. And we're going to be unraveling today all about this this healing plant. Actually, this once upon a time, I just did a very, very quick search about cannabis. And did you know the first documented case of its use dates back to 2800 BC, when it was listed in the Emperor Shen Nung's, regarded as the father of Chinese medicine, his pharmacopoeia, and also it was used by the ancient Greeks as well, and they used it to treat inflammation and pain resulting from obstruction of the ear, among other things. So this is going to be very, very interesting. It's been a demonized plant for years, and with us today we have the amazing Jackie Nairne. A little bit about Jackie. She is from Denver, Colorado. She is a CBD and hemp wellness advocate, educator, and distributor. And she's been heavily entrenched in learning and educating people on all aspects of the hemp industry and how and why these hemp-derived products are changing lives for men, women, kids, and our fur babies. Every mammal with a spine benefits from these therapeutic, holistic products. Welcome, Jackie.
Hello.
Great to have you here. And Ken, of course, my amazing co-host. Now, Ken, have you ever dabbled in a bit of the old cannabis yourself?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, there you go. Well, we're all
the old school stuff, the stuff that kind of makes you a little woohoo. I'd be a fool to not admit that, hey, there's a time and a place, and sometimes it's a really nice time. However, it's not so nice when you get a little too much. But when you get that perfect amount, it's nice. It's a nice time. And then CBD, yes, I do have CBD products. So there is a difference between CBD products and what Aldwyn and I were just talking about. What Aldwyn and I were just talking about is another word for it is called THC. And that's where you kind of get the little psychedelic effect of it. What we're also going to be talking about today is the CBD part of it. So, which has just a little bit of THC, not enough to make you all wee, but just enough to take care of ailments, arthritis, muscle aches, and different things like that. And Jackie here, a few days ago, I had the opportunity of actually getting on a Zoom call with Jackie and really getting to know her and having a great conversation. And the deeper she got with me on that, I was just like, oh, you are going to be the perfect person to be on our show. So with that, what I'd like to do is, Jackie, I would like to turn the spotlight over to you because you are a guest and you get the spotlight tonight.
Great, thank you guys. I love having, excuse me, any and every opportunity to really help people learn and gain more insight when it comes to CBD, hemp, the cannabis world. I personally was never a pot smoker, and I always associated cannabis with getting high. I did not for 1/2 a second consider any kind of therapeutic benefit to this amazing plant. And what I will say is that I now understand that THC is not the bad guy in this. That the way that these cannabinoids synergistically work together is incredible in terms of the ways that can benefit all of us and our dogs and our cats. I guess like I said, any mammal with a spine. But there are a lot of myths and misconceptions out there, and that is what I like to help people kind of, pull off the covers and take a look at. The biggest thing being that, and why now all of a sudden you're hearing about, in this country, in the United States, you're hearing about CBD and hemp everywhere, because you can drive down the street, and even though I'm in Colorado where we've had everything legal forever, you can drive down the street in any state right now, and at some local gas station, you can see CBD being sold, which is very scary. And the fact that this is a completely unregulated industry right now, that will change, but as it stands right now, it is unregulated. But what happened was that in late December of 2018 in the United States, there was a farm bill that was passed that basically they carved out the non-psychotropic cannabinoid and looked at that and said, you know what? We're going to allow this to be legal across all 50 states as long as it's cultivated as hemp and it is not more than 0.3% THC content. So that was the distinction. You shouldn't, because it's unregulated, so you don't know. We'll talk about that later. But what is out there and legal across all 50 states in this country should be in that definition. So there are still medical marijuana dispensaries. There's still the concept of medical marijuana and getting a medical marijuana card. And that is when you're looking at products that are higher in that THC content. So that's sort of the distinction right now when people say, wait, I thought, it's not legal in our state. And it's like, yes, hemp, they call it industrial hemp. And the definition for that was twofold. One is it's a great way to distinguish, but also hemp has incredible industrial benefits and benefits in other industries that probably is why it went into prohibition when it did, is the threat of all of those other industries. So what you've got a lot of people out there that are just confused, and they don't really understand, what is this? And they don't also understand how it works in your body. And so when you look at people, when I circle back to the idea of how I associated cannabis with getting high, there are so many people now who are using CBD and they're no longer smoking pot. And the reason for that is just back to the fact that a lot of those therapeutic benefits that they were associating with the THC was also coming into their body through these non-psychotropic cannabinoids like CBD. So CBD has no intoxication to it whatsoever, but incredible therapeutic benefit.
Fascinating. Well, I must say I have used it to self-medicate over the years because, over 30 years working in the media, it's been a very, high stress, high pressure kind of business for me. And so for a long time, I've smoked it since a teenager over the years. And I think also I was very self-destructive in my teenage years as well. And I was drinking a lot. I was smoking a lot of cigarettes as well, doing other drugs and cannabis, weed, dope, whatever you want to call it. It was just everywhere. And so even though it was illegal at the time in Australia, heaps of people were smoking it. And in fact, it was around the schoolyards. People were dealing it in the schoolyards in Sydney, in the Northern Beaches area. And I guess being a rebellious teenager, I started out back then, smoking some. And then over the years, just as I felt that I wanted to sort of chill out a little bit or relax a little bit, I found it really helped me to just to do that, and so I self-medicated. And recently in Australia, they've made it legalized. And actually you were able to grow plants. I remember in Canberra, when I was doing uni in Canberra, we had plants that we were growing, which you were allowed to grow a certain number of plants. But every year, as the plants were just about ready to pick, we had people that came and stole the plants every year from where I was in Canberra. And so, so we had to sort of source it elsewhere. And lately now in Australia, or at least on the Gold Coast, you can get the medical marijuana, the CBD, you can get CBD oil, you can get the actual a plant to smoke as well, or some people have it in a vape. And there's different opinions about whether vapes are actually healthy or not. However, smoking, I must say, I don't like the effect of smoking on my lungs. But nowadays you can get this sort of medical marijuana, which personally, when I've tried it, I haven't really liked it. I much rather prefer the naturally outdoor grown marijuana, which you can still get. It's becoming rarer because there's been a lot of as they say, drug busts on the natural outdoor grown marijuana. And it seems to be a big push towards this hydroponic style medical marijuana, which for me, I do not like. I really don't like marijuana. So this is the thing. It's like the government says, yes, you can have the medical marijuana, but you're going to have the stuff that we say is okay to have. And I think there's a lot of chemicals in that stuff, because it has a quick high effect, and then you sort of has a big crash, and it really feels very tight and different on the body for me personally than having the natural outdoor varieties. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, the thing about these cannabinoids, like if you look at the hemp plant has over 120 cannabinoids in one plant. We know about CBD, THC, CBN, CBG, CBDA. We know of about 6 of them. They will continue to discover more and more. So you have in that plant over 120 of those cannabinoids, and then you also have terpenes, and terpenes have their own therapeutic benefit, and flavonoids. So there's so much that's being extracted and that's being put into a high quality, because it needs to be a high quality product, that is going into your body and doing such amazing things. And what people need to understand first and foremost is this endocannabinoid system that we have in our body. And that is where everything came to light for me, because I, first of all, never heard of that. And most people haven't. And no one had heard of it until the 90s. And the way that it even became discovered is that there was a scientist, and he's kind of the grandfather of cannabis, and in Israel, looking at THC and medical marijuana and trying to understand, why is this so beneficial for people? And then all of a sudden, they were honed in on the THC, and then all of a sudden they went, wait a minute, there's another molecule in here, and it's not psychotropic. It has no intoxicating element to it, but it has, and so they started digging into this, and that is when they discovered this endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system is named after cannabis. So if you Google endocannabinoid system, you can learn all about this system. And this system in our body, we have more receptors in our body, in every part of our body, to receive these cannabinoids than anything else. And we in ourselves, we humans and dogs and cats, and any mammal with a spine has that endocannabinoid system. We create endogenous cannabinoids. And those endogenous cannabinoids are things like breast milk. Like, how babies, you nurse a baby and the baby is so calm and relaxed and it's so good for the baby. They're starting to really think that the runner's high that used to always be tied to endorphins, they're starting to think that could be another endogenous cannabinoid. What they're realizing is that those endogenous cannabinoids that we create throughout history, because of just all the yucky stuff in the air and that we put into our bodies, there's a clinical endocannabinoid deficiency that we all are suffering from. And so, and everyone's different, which is why when someone starts to integrate these hemp products into their life, when I'm working with any new customer, I'm always like, we're going to take it low and slow, and we're going to figure out the right dose for you, because what's right for you is not necessarily what's right for Ken. Or, it's all different. And so what happens is that when these phytocannabinoids, these plant-based cannabinoids, they mirror the ones we create. So that's why when they come into your body knows exactly what to do with them. And it's almost like your body is like that. One of the analogies you hear a lot is a Christmas tree. It's like within all these internal systems, your endocrine system, every neurological system in your body, all the systems that you have within your body, all of them have receptors for CBD and for these cannabinoids. And so it's almost like when you have a Christmas tree and some of the lights start to flicker and start to go out, when these cannabinoids, these plant-based cannabinoids come into your body's like, oh gosh, we need you here. We're not sleeping well. We're feeling really anxious. We have, our knee hurts. All of these different things that are being influenced, because what happens in our bodies is that we run into this level of imbalance. And that imbalance is where all of the problems start to happen. So what these phytocannabinoids are doing is they're coming in, activating this endocannabinoid system within our body to get us into homeostasis, to get all of these internal systems to balance out. And when those systems are balanced, you have, CBD as an example is a major anti-inflammatory. So what you have is all of this inflammation that goes away. I did not know till I got involved in this industry that there's such a thing as neurological inflammation. And neurological inflammation is a lot of what can impact anxiousness and all these other things, mood issues and things that people go through. And so when you have something that is holistic, that is coming into your body with no side effects, with no, there's nothing synthetic if you're getting high quality products going into your body, and it's something that your body already creates, it's just not having enough of. That's why you're seeing this industry blow up. That's why the testimonials are just through the roof that people are talking about how my life has changed since I've integrated these hemp-derived products into my life. And that's the beauty of this. I mean, I constantly hear from people, oh my gosh, I wish this hadn't been in Prohibition, because this would have benefited my grandmother, my grandfather. And, we shame on every political and greed reason that this was kept from us. Because like you said, cannabis has been around forever. And hemp, if you look back at the history of hemp, when the settlers came into this country, they were all legally required to grow an acre of hemp. George Washington had a hemp farm. Hemp was everywhere. Our cattle were eating it. It was in the water. We were getting it into our bodies. So we were feeding that endocannabinoid system that nobody even knew we had yet. And then what ends up happening is that everything's in Prohibition. And then you combine that with processed food, air pollution, all of the things external things that are affecting us. And no wonder, when we're bringing this back into the fold, it's life-changing. It's life-changing. I had my corgi on a daily dose of CBD for the last 4 years of her life. My vet was the one that suggested it, off the record. And it was a life-changing thing for her. She went from hardly being able to move to great mobility, which caused her to lose weight, which caused her to, be in better shape. I mean, it was insane what happened with that. And then along with that, even though my goal was to get her to have increased better mobility because she was getting old, She was 11 when I started giving it to her. But then all of a sudden, she wasn't barking incessantly all the time. And then it was 4th of July, and she was totally chill during the fireworks. And it was like, whoa, what is happening here? And this is when I just became this research nut and really started diving into this whole thing around why is this changing lives? Why is it so beneficial? And it's unbelievable, and it's something that you just want to scream from the rooftops from people. I mean, when somebody says, "Oh my gosh, I just slept horrible last night," it's like, have you tried CBD? Like, have you tried CBD? Or I'm having this pain, I'm having a hard time getting up the stairs. Have you tried CBD? I mean, it's just so easy to say to people, try this. Like, there's no downside, and there's so much potential benefit. So that's why the industry is blowing up. When I started in this industry, we were a $500 million industry in the US. It's over 8 billion. And it's been 4.5 years since that farm bill passed. So that's how much this, and that is not snake oil. That is something that people are telling their friends who are telling their friends. And the movement is just, grassroots movement is just incredible with this.
Yes, it certainly seems to be taking off more so lately.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are realizing the benefits of CBD. And in fact, I did have some oil the other day, some CBD oil, which I loved. However, there was another time I had some which I had too much of it. And you've got to be very careful with the dosage, dosage, how much oil, because it kind of, I went a little bit overboard with it. And plus, I was having red wine, which probably isn't the best combo. But I had a fair bit of red wine and then quite a bit of oil. And I was, it wasn't the best look the next morning, let me tell you. But anyway, it was, I did have a great night.
I was going to say, so in the meantime, it's like, wee.
Yeah, in the meantime, it was like, wee. And
was that actually, did you get that just off the counter somewhere, or was that through the marijuana dispensary?
No, a friend of mine actually had it prescribed, and he gave me some.
So my bet is that what you were taking had a much higher THC content. You could have taken CBD with the legalized side of hemp. Those products you would have been able to take, and you would not have had that effect at all, because there is no psychotropic effect to it.
Right. Well, this one combined with red wine was one hell of.
Because you had THC in there at a much higher level. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, go ahead.
Now I have a question. So, I also have a particular CBD product that I take. So I have one that helps with relaxation. In fact, it's the nickname of it is called Unwind. And so it does help with relaxation. It helps with muscle aches and all that other stuff. Great stuff. Then I have another one though. The other one is kind of more for focus. So it's for the daytime, and it's more for focus and concentration. And I know one of the ingredients in this one is lion's mane. And so my question is to you, because I'm also hearing some interesting things around mushrooms.
Yeah.
So kind of want to open up that conversation as well. What's up with the mushrooms? Because I'm hearing a lot of people talk great things about mushrooms. I'm also hearing people talk about psychedelic effects of mushrooms. Different things like that. And I'm just kind of curious, because the product that I do take that's, and I'll get it in a minute here, that's for the daytime, I do notice a very slight difference when I have that in my system. It seems it's a lot easier for me to focus.
Yeah.
It's nothing crazy. I barely even notice it. But it's a lot easier for me to focus. It's a lot easier for me to be creative with my content creation, different things like that. And so I'm just kind of wondering, what are your thoughts on that, Jackie?
It's so interesting because with the industry, what I've noticed, which is so kind of fascinating to me, is that when I got involved with the company that I'm partnered with, right, and it's all U.S. organic grown hemp, which is really important because hemp is a major scavenger plant. So it sucks up everything in the air and ground around it. And so if that's not good, your product is not good. They actually planted hemp all over after Chernobyl to test how much of a bioaccumulator it was, and it cleaned the air for miles and the ground. And so before our farm bill passed in the U.S., we had CBD products that were out there. All of the hemp was being imported mostly from China. China uses hemp as a pollutant, anti-pollutant. They used it to clean the air, clean the ground. They were chopping that down because we couldn't farm it here yet. And they were shipping it to us. And that is what was being used and put into products, which is why this industry got such a bad rep, right? And so what you saw happening a lot was that companies were coming out, especially when the Farm Bill made everything legal. Companies started putting products out, and they were they had a product for sleep and a product for focus and a product for, and believe me, high quality CBD is not inexpensive. It's an investment. And if you're taking really good CBD, you don't need a whole bunch of different kinds, a whole bunch of different ones. If you had, like, for example, the product formulation could determine if you have something that's better designed for focus. So that product that you're saying that they were putting out there for focus, it might have had targeted terpenes included in its profile or some other things that would have done that. But if you're just taking a daily dose of a high quality CBD, it's going to help you with better focus. It's going to help you feel calmer. It's going to help you sleep better. It's going to help you have, pain relief, because it's doing what I described earlier. It's balancing everything within your body, right?
That's interesting. And all of those things happen at the same time?
Yeah, and that's the part that to me made me think snake oil, because I was like, how could one thing make you better focused, but then make you feel calmer? Like, I almost felt like those were two kind of different things within your body, or help you sleep better, but make you better focused. Like it confused me. But then when I began to understand the inner workings of this endocannabinoid system and why it's doing what it's doing, it made a lot of sense. And also how you're taking it and when you're taking it, it can be part of that as well. So when you were saying earlier about vaping and all that, when it comes to CBD products, you're either going to be taking them sublingually under your tongue, or you're going to be taking them as some sort of gummy. And most of the products that are out in the market, 99.9% of the gummies that are in the market are not water soluble. They're not created so by the time they go through your digestive system and process through your liver, you're getting, if you're lucky, 6% bioavailability. The company that I'm partnered with, it has nano emulsified gummies, and that's a huge difference in the fact that that's in the 90th percentile. They're nanoparticles, so they process through your body intact and hit your bloodstream. They've got to hit your bloodstream to activate your endocannabinoid system, which is why topical CBD doesn't do that. We have more receptors in our skin, because it's the largest organ in our body, for CBD than anywhere other than our brains. And so when you're using a topical CBD product, it doesn't activate your endocannabinoid system. It's very targeted, but the targeted pain relief is amazing. So if you are trying to, like, if I have somebody who is dealing with any kind of pain, I always tell them, start with a daily dose. Take a daily dose of CBD, just almost like you're taking a vitamin, and then we'll add whatever we need to add on top of that. But once you start to get your body in balance, you're going to be amazed at how many things change and how great you're going to be feeling in so many different areas. One of the very first things people say when they start taking CBD is, oh my gosh, I can't believe how I'm sleeping. I feel so rested. And that is usually like one of the first things that people notice is that. And the pain relief can oftentimes take longer, for that to really start to kick in. It's not like THC, where if you're putting THC into your body, you immediately know you've got THC in your body. If you're taking CBD, it could be I always have my customers, I always say, make a list of your issues, rank them on the scale of 1 to 10, and we're just going to start microdosing you, and we're going to see where those numbers go. Because it's really subtle. It's so different than what people are so familiar with when it comes to cannabis, because everyone associates it to that THC feeling. And you know, like, I mean, the few times I smoked pot, like, you know, I knew when I went, oh, okay, this is in my body. That's not how CBD is. And in fact, some people, they stop taking it because they're like, I don't feel like it's doing that much. And then all of a sudden they're not taking it anymore, and they go, whoa, I had no idea how much that was helping me. So it's just a very different, and those are the kinds of things that people need to really understand and realize. And I think that's why I love what I do so much, is because if you just grab CBD off the shelf, you're kind of like, you don't really know. You don't know how much you should take. You don't know what strength you should be getting. You don't know whether there's so many different ways that it's product formulated. So there's full spectrum, which is everything just like the plant was made, with that teeny tiny trace amount of THC. There's broad spectrum, where they take that lick of THC out. So there's just so many different things that are kind of the intricacies of this industry that people aren't aware of. There's not a ton of education out there yet. If you start to Google it, you can find it. But just in general, you know, I'm in Colorado, and I was talking to a guy who bought some CBD at a farmer's market, and I was talking to him about dosing and how, you know, we can't, there's a lot that we're not allowed to do. We can't make medical claims. We can't, you know, profess to be dosing experts. And there really isn't such a thing. I was telling Ken that I had my daughter on ADHD medication when she was in middle school. It took us 6 months to figure out the right dose. So there's really no magic to that anyway. But with him, he was like, this is great, because he said, I got this at the farmer's market. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how much to take. I didn't know how to take it. And so there's just so many things that people need to know and understand. And the other thing that's so cool is that they're now discovering that people who are taking that daily dose of CBD, it's activating not only their endocannabinoid system to operate more effectively in keeping all their systems balanced, their bodies are starting to create more endogenous cannabinoids. And so it is actually triggering our bodies to get more effective where we've been deficient. So that's super cool. And one of the things that I work with my customers a lot on is I always say, all right, let's drop your dose down a little bit and see how you're feeling. See if you notice any difference, you know, because again, these high quality products are not cheap. And, you know, you only need what you need. The thing about CBD is that you can't OD on it. It can't hurt you to take more than you should take, but it's a waste of money. Your body will just eliminate what it doesn't need. It will turn on all the lights on that Christmas tree, and then when all the lights are on, it'll be like, we don't need any more lights. We're done. Let's pack the lights up, and they can just go over here. So your body will just say, nope, I don't need any more. So you're now taking more than you need, and you're wasting your money. The other thing that can happen is that if you take a lot more than you need, you can like shut those receptors down. So I'll find sometimes people are like, well, I was taking CBD and it was doing really great for me, and then all of a sudden it wasn't working anymore. And I'm like, you need a reset. You flooded your receptors. You probably took more than you should. And we're going to start you low and slow. You don't need a high dose when you're taking a daily dose of CBD. You just need to make sure you find your sweet spot dose.
So you're talking about the CBD oil, right?
Yeah, and the CBD oil either can come in the gummy, or it can come where you drop it under your tongue. And when you do drop it under your tongue, that's where it's going to go straight to your bloodstream, because it's absorbed through your sublingual glands. And you hold it under your tongue for a good, I tell people, like, hold it as long as you can, more than 60 seconds, because everything that's absorbed that way is hitting your bloodstream. Once you swallow, it's starting through your digestive system. But like with these nano jellies that we just released, that are the only ones on the market right now, they're gummies, but they are a more immediate effect because of being nano emulsified, which is really cool. So they have a long-lasting effect of a tincture, but they also have a faster acting effect of a gummy.
That's fascinating. Well, I wonder
That
with the oil that I took the other day, I wonder if it was actually the effect of too much oil or whether it was actually the red wine that led to the big hangover and feeling sick the next day. Maybe I just had too much red wine because
Well, yeah.
the times I have had the oil, it has taken like a good hour before I felt the really relaxing effects on my body. And I must say, I haven't kept it under my tongue. So next time I'll give that a go. And it's kind of like when I've eaten hash cookies or, dope cookies or, they take about an hour to kick in as well, which is what I found also with the oil. And so when I say kick in, like I find the effects that I get, it relaxes my whole body. I find sometimes I get a bit hornier. I get a bit sexually more excited, which can be a problem if you're single because if you're out with friends, because they're friends. So you don't want to go there. But anyway, that's it's been great in a relationship over the years when I've had a partner to enjoy that with. I really enjoyed that sort of heightened sensation. I
mean, there's a lot out there about sexual health and cannabis and how it's being utilized, and not even just anything with the THC side of it, but like with the company I partnered with, we have a body oil, like a intimacy oil, and some products like that. The thing is that I would suspect that what you were taking was high. I'd be curious to know the THC level that you had, because everything you're describing, you would have none of that with CBD. CBD would not give you any of those kinds of feelings. You could have your CBD with your wine, and it would not, you would have no issue with that. The other thing, though, too, is that even in the United States, and with the lack of regulation, there's just a lot of products out there that have way more THC than they should. Like in the United States, if you're farming hemp and your crop is more than 0.3% dry weight THC content, it's considered a hot crop and it is to be destroyed. But there's not enough policing available to deal with what's going on with this industry. It's like a runaway train right now. It's a wild, wild west. And so what we're really excited about is that a new farm bill is coming out in the United States very soon. And the farm bill is voted on and determined every 5 years. So our last farm bill that legalized industrial hemp with that low THC content, it's going to be up for review. And we're really hoping that with that, there's going to be some kind of parameters put in place to try to harness this industry a little bit. Because what has happened is that in the United States in particular, what has happened is that there are companies out there that they've got this major loophole right now. And the loophole is this. It's like, well, hey, we extracted this from the legal hemp that was 0.3% dry weight THC content or less. But when they get it into the manufacturing process, there's things that they can do to up the potency of that THC. So by the time the product gets out into the marketplace, that's not what the intent of that original farm bill was and what they decided would be made legal. As a result, we had things like Delta 8 THC, which then became illegal across many states because it could be lethal. If there's something in a product, it's the same thing with food additives right now. A child getting a hold of a chocolate bar that's got all of this, even though it's this low level THC, that's not a good thing. So there's going to be a lot of regulation that's going to come into play. I'm super excited about that just because we are so far, we've been regulating as a company since this company launched. So we're like the gold standard for where things are going to go. But the problem when that farm bill first passed, Consumer Reports pulled all of these products off the shelves, ordered them online, studied all of them. They found way too high of a THC content in a lot of the products, or no CBD or anything in the product, like just a bunch of nothing. Or even they found like E. coli in one of the products, like scary, scary stuff, which has made people really nervous. That, when people say to me, when they're talking about, oh my gosh, I can't sleep, and I'm like, have you tried CBD? And their reaction is, that's unregulated. I'd heard about it, but I'm nervous. And I always say you should be. You need to really be careful, and you need to make sure that what you're getting is pure and organic. If it's USC organic certified, there's no gray area. Everyone in this industry right now is using the term organic. It's like organic schmorganic, right? Everybody's organic. But at the end of the day, if it's USDA organic certified, that's like a huge differentiator right there. The other big thing as a consumer is make sure that there is a certificate of analysis that you can get a hold of, and you can see exactly what's in your product. And it should be from a third party, and it should be for your batch. What was happening also in this industry is that companies were putting COA, certificate of analysis, on their website, but it wasn't for the batch. It was like an old, outdated, from 5 batches ago kind of a thing. So there's just a lot. I mean, that's why I love educating people, is just because it's like, this will be a game changer for you. Make sure it's of the highest quality possible. And here's how you can do that, how you can make sure of that. And then make sure that you're figuring out how much you need. And that's where you stop. You don't need, I see so many advertisements on Facebook, because you're not allowed to advertise CBD, but money talks, because big CBD brands are advertising. And I'll see in the comments, somebody will say, well, I tried this, but it wasn't really helping me. And then you'll see somebody from the company piping in saying, well, you need a higher dosage, or you need a higher strength. And I'm like, you don't know that. You don't know that. Like, you don't know exactly why. It isn't that black and white. And of course, it's to a company's advantage to sell a higher strength. A higher strength costs more to sell a higher dose, because they'll use it up faster. There's just also this whole, business machine going, because the industry's on fire. And so consumers are really kind of at a disadvantage until they really learn more about it. But then I look at people that are giving CBD to their kids, and their kids are benefiting so much from these products, sleeping better, not as anxious, calming them down, helping them focus. It does exactly what it does for us, for them. They gave CBD to an elephant in a zoo in Warsaw, Poland. It's always my favorite story to tell, because this elephant was, they kind of have a real strong connection to their pack. And one of the like head elephants or whatever died. And this female elephant was just beside herself. She was just out of control, angry, aggressive, all of these things. They started giving this elephant CBD and calmed her down. And so this is just a game changer for people. And if you look and say, I've got something that I can put into my body, that my body creates something just like it. I just don't have enough. It has no side effects at all, and it's 100% holistic, and there's no synthetics in it. Like, the Big Pharma doesn't like this industry at all.
Yes. Well,
and notice how she said that, guys, to our listeners here. Notice how she said that. She said that when I had my Zoom call with her, and I was just like, "Ooh, I'm gonna use that." Notice she said "Big Pharma."
Big Pharma.
Pharma, because that's what they do to you, is they harm you. So that I don't know. I think, Jackie, you got that off of somebody else.
Yep, I swiped it from somebody else, and when I heard it, I said, oh my God, can I please steal that? Because I had just watched Dope, Sick, and Painkiller, and what Purdue Pharma did to get our opioid crisis out of control in this country. And I'm just like, that is the word. Going back to your question, Ken, about mushrooms, because I kind of got off tangent, which I do on occasion a lot.
Don't worry about it.
But the mushroom side of it, there's a lot now going on relative to mushrooms, both psychedelic and the mushrooms that how mushroom coffee you're starting to see all this mushroom coffee out there. We have a product that has a triple blend mushroom element to it. It's chaga, reishi, and is it maritake, I think is how you say it. So it's like a triple blend proprietary formula that we own our own farm, we own our own lab, we do all our own product formulation. So it's a vertically integrated company, which is really rare to find, especially one that's USDA organic certified. But that mushroom blend was added to, I think that initially came into our black elderberry nano jellies, because we had our initial gummies were great. They were nano emulsified, so higher bioavailability gummies, which is not, it's very difficult to find that. But then the next product we rolled out, they added black elderberry, and they added and acerola cherry, and a triple mushroom blend. So it was sort of like, oh my gosh, you're getting like all that CBD benefit, all the cannabinoid benefit, in addition to the mushrooms, the black elderberry. Look at all of those things as in isolation, and they have so many therapeutic benefits. So that's where you're seeing some product formulation happening. And to address your thing about focus, the thing is that a lot of times those terpenes that are in the hemp plant, terpenes in cannabis are like essential oils on steroids. Like, terpenes are in all kinds of plants, and they're there to ward off predators, and they impact smell and all those kinds of things. But they also can be highly therapeutic. And if you look at essential oils, that's like a whole nother realm of therapeutic ways that people are doing something holistically. But when they're coming from cannabis, those terpenes in cannabis are even more powerful. So if you have a product formulation where you're doing a regular extraction, and then you're including additional targeted terpene profile for focus or for sleep. Like we have one called Sleep Boost, and it tastes awful. It tastes like you're putting lavender perfume under your tongue. I don't love the taste, but it is, because linalool, which is the terpene that's in that, is like lavender. But that just lulls you to sleep. It's like you drop that under your tongue, and it's like, and it's holistic, and it's wonderful. And I always tell people, look, these products are not candy. They're therapeutic. So they may not taste the way you want them to taste or whatever, but they're going to have incredible benefit.
See, that I actually like that, though. It's because I think our industry out there is so self-deceiving with so many like things that taste good. And you've got I could go off on a whole tangent around this, so I'm going to really try not to. But I mean, this is why the sugar industry out there, I mean, it is literally as addictive as opioids, heroin, and all that other stuff. And, people are wondering why they're so addicted to sugary things. Well, it's because you've got this industry out there that's constantly putting all of this in there, and it's designed. It is literally, the industry is making products designed to keep you coming back for more.
Right, to get you addicted in whatever way they can. Yeah.
Exactly. This is one of the reasons why you've got an obesity rate out there. One of the reasons. There are many in which, I can go into, but I'm not. But this is one of the reasons why you have such a problem with obesity out there, is because these big tech companies that are out there are producing products that they are 100% aware. And I'll just say the word woke. They are a woke company that realizes what the heck they're doing, and they don't care because it brings people back. So they spend more money.
Right.
Now back focusing in here, the one that I take here, it's called Functional Synergy, and it's mushroom caplets, says focus blend. It has 15 milligrams of CBG in it. G is in go.
Yep.
And 15 milligrams of CBD in it. The ingredients are as follow, if I can pronounce these.
Okay.
So it's got 300 milligrams of lion's mane.
Okay.
Mushroom extract, 300 milligrams of cordyceps.
Oh, yep.
Mushroom,
okay. Yep.
Mushroom extract, 25 milligrams of full spectrum hemp extract.
Mm-hmm.
15 milligrams of cannabidiol CBD.
Wait, go back to that. So hemp extract is CBD. So what was that next one?
Cannabidiol.
Oh, wait. So it's saying 25 milligrams of hemp extract, and now it's separating out the CBD and saying 15 milligrams of cannabidiol. Cannabidiol is CBD. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'm
Yeah.
so lovely at pronouncing these. And then it's cannabigerol.
Yeah, cannabigerol, CBG.
So yes, CBG. So that's what's in here.
Okay. And how is it? What does it say on it? Like, how is it presenting itself to you? It's saying
functional synergy. It's the focus blend. Yeah.
Okay.
And I do notice a difference when I have it. And
so
it's got 0.3% THC in it, but I don't even notice that.
Because that is the legal limit. So that is the hemp that is legal across all 50 states in the US. The CBG, so CBG is sort of like, it's really the mother of cannabinoids. So the thing about all of this is that there are these other cannabinoids, but in hemp that is cultivated for the CBD, the highest, the strongest, most powerful cannabinoid in there, the highest cannabinoid content is CBD. In marijuana that's cultivated for the THC, the highest cannabinoid content is the THC. In a medical marijuana dispensary, so like if you go into a recreational marijuana dispensary, you're going to see high THC content and low and no CBD. But you go into a medical marijuana dispensary and you're going to see much more of a ratio. And that comes back to the idea of this, what they call the entourage effect, that when you have all of these working so synergistically together, CBD diffuses the psychotropic elements of THC. THC helps CBD get where it needs to go in your body more effectively. So they work really well. That's why when I was saying earlier, THC is not the bad guy here. It's just that it works a little bit differently in your body. So when you look at these medical marijuana dispensaries, when people get a card to go get their CBD, those are going to have a very different ratio, and it's going to be this many milligrams of THC to this many milligrams of CBD. And there's also going to be other things. So there's like CBN, and CBN is, I was so excited when our company came out with our CBN nano jellies, because CBN is oxidated THC, which means that when it becomes psychotropic and intoxicating is when you apply heat to it. So CBN is like oxidated THC, and it has no, wait, did I just say that backwards? CBN has no psychotropic element to it, like THC does, but it is the only other cannabinoid that is sedative. So it was super, like I would always tell people with our CBD, because CBD in high doses can sedate, and in low doses it can stimulate. And these are not high doses that we're talking about. If you were taking a high dose of CBD to sedate you, you'd be spending a lot of money. And you don't need to do that. Where CBD does its magic for sleep is that it's not meant to put you to sleep. It keeps you in deep sleep. Or if you wake up, you can quickly go back to sleep. You're still in that groggy state, and you can go back to sleep, which is why people say, I feel so rested.
That's been my experience
CBD.
with it. With the CBD, with the gummies that I have, which does, the gummies that I have, they do have a little bit of a higher content of THC, but I actually like that in the blend that I've got right now. It's 0.5, so not 0.3, but it's 0.5.
Right, like and the thing is,
so that actually kind of gives me that evening really nice, like, whoa, you know.
Could
and
find with a higher quality CBD, you're going to get the same effect. You probably wouldn't need, like our nano jellies that we just released that are dual effect. they are people are taking those and they're having a pretty quick effect on them, but they're lasting as long as a tincture would last. The difference between a gummy and a tincture is just the fact that if you are ingesting a nano jelly, it's going to hit your system faster, but it's going to then diffuse faster. If you're putting it under your tongue, it's going to take longer to activate everything, but the effects will be longer. So this product that we just released, the reason why it's such a game changer, and our company has wanted this since before we launched 4.5 years ago. This was a dream product that they had, but it took a long time to create it. And it's the only one out there, but it has that dual effect. So it's the nano jelly that you can take and get a more immediate impact. So people that are now using those that we just released are like, wow, I just feel really calm. I just feel really relaxed, like, pretty quickly. And wow, it's lasting a long time for me. Going back to the whole idea about CBN. So with CBD, I always tell people don't take it any later than 2 hours before you go to bed, because in low doses it can stimulate. And so you will have people that say, I took CBD and it kind of kept me up a little bit. And that's because these are not high. These daily doses that you're taking, like a vitamin, are not high. So you take it no later than 2 hours. There are always people that refute that say, no, I take it right before I go to bed, and it totally helps me go to sleep. And no, most likely the reason they're feeling that way is that it calms you down a lot. And if you are someone who can't go to sleep because you've got racing thoughts, then yeah, it's going to, taking CBD is going to help those anxious thoughts. It's going to make you feel calmer. So it makes sense that when you go to sleep, they're not just keeping you up all night. But CBN, like we have a CBN sleep jelly. If you took that right before you went to bed, you would be like asleep, like pretty quickly. It's sedative, not psychotropic, but it is to help you sleep. And I always tell people, look, in the perfect world, I can help people determine like a great combination of products that are going to be most beneficial. But if someone can only do one thing when it comes to integrating hemp wellness, take a daily dose of CBD. Like first and foremost, everything else is an add-on. But just take that. And then when you add some of these other things, like we have a product line called Boost, and they have no cannabinoids. It's all terpenes. They're targeted terpenes. So the one I was talking about for sleep, that's our Sleep Boost product. That has no cannabinoids. So I'm taking my daily dose of CBD, and then I drop that under my tongue before I go to bed. And before we had our CBN sleep jellies, that's what I was using. Now I kind of switched to those. But before that, they were really beneficial. And there's one for pain, and there's one for mood, and there's one for metabolism, immune support, all of those different things. So product formulation is going to determine some of the things that you were referring to relative to this is for this and this is for that. But that can add up. Like, oh, well, I want to feel calmer, and I want to be better focused when I'm working, and I want to sleep better. So shoot, I got to buy all these CBD products. These are not cheap. No, get one high quality CBD product and take it daily. And that in and of itself is going to be a game changer.
It's interesting. So that the gummies that I do have that I currently use to kind of like unwind, whatever. Yeah. I don't necessarily have them every night, but if I just really just want to kind of just be like, like crazy, I'll take a whole gummy. But if I just want just a really nice, relaxing, like, then I will take a half of the gummy, which usually works just as well. Now it takes usually about 45 minutes to an hour to work. And then it usually lasts about 3.5 hours. Enough time for me to just chill for the evening. And then usually I go to bed. And usually when I take those, I do wake up just because I'm generally a light sleeper. So when I do wake up through the night, it is easier for me to fall back asleep. Something else I've noticed that when I'm taking that, it's a lot easier for me to fall back asleep. When other times when I haven't taken it, you know, sometimes it's about an hour and a half before I can get back to sleep.
Right. And what you described ties back into what I was saying about the difference between water soluble and the majority of the gummies on the market. When you have something that is like staying intact, hitting your bloodstream, and I mean, water soluble is not even the correct term because there's really no such thing. I was told by some scientists that we really can't, but it's nano emulsified, so broken into those small particles. So when you're taking something, when you're ingesting that gummy that you're talking about, the reason why it's taking as long as it's taking to take effect is because it's going through your digestive system, it's processing through your liver. It's doing, if you were taking like this nano emulsified product like what we have, that would not be the case. It would have a really quick impact because it would hit your bloodstream that fast. And that when you're talking about the duration of time that it's lasting, that's again, I mean, I don't want to sit and tout this company and these products, but I can't help but do it because there's nothing else like it. But that is the big difference too. You're getting like 12 hours of what you're talking about that's giving you 4 or 5. That's a big, huge difference. And so it's, and the thing too is that when it comes to these products, it's sort of like if you were to say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to integrate this into my health and wellness. I always tell people, if you're not going to be consistent, don't bother. Like if you, this is not like a THC gummy that you like, you know, take one day and a week later, maybe you know, cause whatever, or, you know, a joint that you smoke or something. CBD and these cannabinoids that you're getting through hemp-derived products, you need to stay consistent because you're feeding that system within your body to keep all your internal systems activate, or to activate and keep those systems balanced. And so if you're not going to commit to doing that, then, you know, it's not going to be as beneficial.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
This is absolutely fascinating, this conversation, and I've got so many things I want to say. I had no idea.
It's your turn. Go.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, fascinating. I know I probably looked stoned the whole way through that, but I can assure you I'm not.
No.
I was just glued to the screen and fascinated by what you're saying, because I had no idea there were so many different forms of CBD or CBG, or I mean, that's like a whole other world for me.
Yeah.
So this is fascinating, and I'm very curious about those products you have there, Ken. If you could just show us the front of those, what it actually says on. So you said focus something or other. There it is. There. Okay, synergy.
Functional synergy.
Functional synergy. Okay, interesting. And the gummies, I wonder if they've got sugar in the gummies. But it made me think about all sorts of things. Like, you know, when people smoke dope, they get the munchies, right? Which
I'm
also
sure there's a little bit of sugar in those gummies. I mean, they do taste good. The ones that I have, they do taste good. But there's not a whole bunch of sugar in there, so it's nothing too.
And the thing with gummies is that, like with our products, we have organic cane sugar, not in the product, coating the gummies so they don't stick to each other. So it's really there very minimally, just so that, you know, you don't end up with a jar of everything stuck together. That's why they're there. Like, I have a friend who's like, I don't want anything that has sugar in it. She's like all about keto, and she's losing a bunch of weight, and she's like, I don't even want, and I was trying to tell her, you know, you can rub that off because it's on the outside, but, you know, she didn't want to deal with that. But it was like, that is something that I don't know if the sugar is really in the product or just on the product. It might be.
Right. So I was thinking about when people smoke dope, right? When they smoke the THC, they get the munchies, right? And they want to have sweet things. And then they eat a lot of, you know, chocolate, whatever sweet they can get their hands on, which would also lead to what Ken was saying, this obesity epidemic. I'm sure a lot of people who are smoking dope, and I've seen it in America too, because I know people over there were having legalized, you know, I'm sure it's THC in it because I was smoking it, right? I could smell it everywhere. And when I was in LA a few years ago, I was smelling it everywhere. And it's the same smell that I get, that I smell here in Australia where I can smell the legalized. It's the same. It smells like the same stuff, which is getting people high when they're smoking it. It was interesting you saying that when you put heat to it, it becomes more toxic. Is that correct?
Well, with THC, when you apply heat, that is what activates the psychoactive, or not. People always say CBD is not psychoactive, but that's not really true. It's still anything that is activating your system is psychoactive. It's just not intoxicating. So I always say psychotropic because that's really the more accurate term. But with what people are witnessing or experiencing and what you're talking about, there's a lot of things that impact the smell. So like, for example, in my company, when they do the product formulation, when they extract from the hemp plant, they are extracting using MCT coconut oil. MCT coconut oil, you have to use an oil to extract from the plant. A lot of companies use hemp seed oil because it's cheaper. And hemp seed oil is when you get that bong water smell, taste, like you feel like you're at a Willie Nelson concert kind of a thing, right? Our pet product is made with the extraction done with hemp seed oil because animals would rather eat a plant. But humans, when they use the MCT coconut oil, that's why our CBD products have our natural flavor has no smell. It has no taste. It has no smell because the extraction oil was MCT oil. And if you look at a bottle of our CBD, it's clear. If you look at some bottles of CBD, it's dark, it's green, it's all of that has to do with the extraction and how the product is formulated. It's not bad if you use hemp seed oil. It's just not. It's just it's just a cheaper way to do it. But a lot of people are like, I don't want to do CBD because I don't like that pot smell, pot taste. And I always tell them, I understand, and you this is not that. And so what you have is you have the ability, like with Green Compass, with my company, they then can add flavor. So our CBD oil, that is the tincture you drop under your tongue, you can get natural, which is like no taste, no smell, or you can get cinnamon, or you can get fresh mint, or you can get, and they're very light, they're not heavy, but they're very light flavor things that you can use instead. We actually came out with our cinnamon for the holidays, and then everybody was like, don't ever stop giving us that. So it became like a regular thing. But if you look at some of these other products that are out in the marketplace, and you can tell, looking at the color, looking at the thickness, looking at, smelling it, tasting it, that's the difference in the product formulation. So if you're around somebody that's using CBD and you're getting that kind of scent or taste, that's why.
Now, I like these. These taste good, but I can taste the THC in these. So this is what I'm speaking of. Oops.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh yeah, because it's THC. What is the THC milligrams in that?
It's right there.
I can't see what it says.
Hold on. Green.
Okay, hold on. Okay, 5 milligrams of THC. Okay, so this was purchased where? Did you buy this over the counter somewhere, or did you buy it through
CBDdistillery.com?
Okay, so you bought it online. So the thing about these milligrams and all this kind of stuff.
And these are the ones that I was talking about that I use sometimes in the evening time. And I do kind of like the effect that they have as well. Yes.
Yeah. And the thing is that that's what I'm saying. THC is never the bad guy. The things that you're able to buy, the way that you ordered that online, if that wasn't part of what's become legal across the country, there's no way you could have ordered that online. Like they can't ship across states things that are higher than 0.3% THC content. But that's dry weight, which is not the same thing as how many milligrams are in a given product, right? So that what you're taking is no different, or should be no different than other products that are out there relative to that THC level. So if you're taking it that way, you're not getting any higher THC content than you would get in other, unless it's not done right, which could be true.
Right. Yeah. And it's just interesting enough. Here you go, Jackie. So one of our biggest fans of our show is actually watching right now, and she is one of the biggest and most faithful fans of this show, and that is my mom in the next
Oh,
room.
hi.
So when I went out there to go use the facilities, she's like, I want some of her stuff. So Jackie, you and I are going to have to talk.
Yeah, we for sure will. The thing is that, like I said, I mean, the company that I'm partnered with, it's 5 founders and 2 or 6 generation farmers that have been farming on a farm that's been around since the 1800s. They're in North Carolina, and they have been farming USDA organic certified crops for over a quarter of a century. So we've got a husband, a wife, her brother, and then these 2 6th-generation farming brothers. And the husband and wife and the brother of the wife, they also come from farming families, but they did not, like Sterling, our CEO, did not go straight into farming. He went to business school, got into agriculture, but he's always been in the agriculture world. And so the way that everything originated with this company is that our president was suffering after she had her son, and she was in serious, like, I can't say anything medical, but she was really suffering, and she didn't want to get out of bed, and she was in really bad shape. And her brother, who was a triathlete, heavily involved in the athletic community, was talking to our CEO Sterling, and Sterling was saying, I don't know what to do for her. She's just not herself. Her mood, everything, she's just depressed. She can't get out of bed. She's not the woman I normally know. And Brooks, the brother, said, get her some CBD. And so this is before my company was ever even a thought. So she started taking CBD, and it lifted the fog. It got her out of bed. It changed her life to the point where, fast forward a few years, and they had a tragic situation in their family, and she wanted her sons to start taking CBD to calm them down, to help them out. And that's when she started digging in and seeing about what I was saying earlier about how all this hemp is coming from China, and it's dirty and nasty and yucky. And our 5 founders are from a world of USDA organic and pure and clean. And so she went to Sterling and said, I want to give the boys CBD, but so you need to find somebody to grow us organic hemp. And he went out talking to George and Adam, our farmers, and they'd known each other forever. They went to college together. Their ancestors competed in the farming world before. And he said, can you grow us some organic hemp? And they said, we've been doing that. We've been licensed with the state. We've been growing this hemp since the former Farm Bill allowed certain farmers to get licensed by their state, very few, to start growing hemp before that final Farm Bill passed. So my company was in development for a couple of years, and they were just waiting for that Farm Bill to finally pass before they launched. But what you end up having is it's why Green Compass was one of the first USDA organic certified hemp farms, is that the USDA was not even certifying this industry yet. They only certified for the hemp, not the final product. And then it was months later that they started certifying for a final product. And, it's just been this kind of gradual thing. But it's why they're just part of the reason why, especially, it's been 4.5 years now. But when the company I'm partnered with got certified as a hemp farm, you had to become USDA organic certified, you have to turn a crop over at least 3 times. So when the Farm Bill passed in late December of 2018, if farmers just then started growing hemp, it would be 3 years out before they could even apply for certification, of which is a very stringent process to get USDA organic certified. So that's why there's such a limited number of organic certified brands out there, and even fewer that are vertically integrated and are organic certified. So when you have, I look at this, and when she's saying that we need some of those products, it's like the reason why this company is so miles ahead is when you own the farm and you own the lab and you own the distribution, there's not a lot of room for quality issues, for error, and all of those things. And so that what you're getting is the best you're able to get on the market. And that is such a great feeling for me, as a CBD advocate to know that, like, for your mom, it's like, yeah, I know that what I can provide for her is going to be the best she can find, the best and everybody says that, but there's no gray area with that certification. Like, there's just not.
So is this direct selling, or is this like like
Yeah.
people say MLM, right? A lot of people have
Yeah.
sort of MLM's a big dirty word for a lot of people.
I know. It was for me before I was a real job snob, roll my eyes, oh God, this is for people that can't, get a real job, or, it's a cult, or nobody makes any money, yada, yada. I had all my judgy Judy things going, and shame on me, because I don't know that I would have gotten involved in this industry before, just because what got me in was the industry of hemp and how Green Compass was positioned. I joined the company in spite of the fact that it was a direct sales business. Our founders, none of them come from the direct sales world. In fact, their initial intent was that they were going to create, they're agriculture business management people, so they were going to create the highest quality products that they could put out there, like high grade products, and they were going to sell them to pharmacies and clinics and doctors around Wilmington, North Carolina. And then all of a sudden, everybody was asking for their stuff. And Meredith was actually sitting around one afternoon. She got a call from her doctor's office, our president, and they were like, people are asking where they can get your CBD. And that's when they started to go, you know what? This is a word of mouth. There's still so much education needed. There's so much enlightenment needed. There's so many misconceptions, and people buy from people they know and trust. And we need to look at this business model, which was the most brilliant thing they could have ever done. There's over 4,000 CBD brands out there right now. There's a ton of them. So, and when you look at that and you say, okay, what they did is they initially, when they decided to become a direct sales business, they were like, well, we don't know anything about this industry. So they contracted a consulting firm out of Arizona that only consults to the direct sales industry. And those guys said, find somebody to run your field from direct sales. You guys don't know that part of it. And they did. They brought in a VP of sales. That's actually who introduced me to the company. That's how I learned about the company. And find somebody to do that. And they said, you guys are going to do between 300 and 500,000, because we launched in February of 2019. They said, you'll do between 300 and 500,000 in your first year. We did $1 million in the first month. And then we did 11.8 million in the first year. And then that second year was the pandemic. And we grew month over month. People were cutting corners financially. They did not want to be without these products. We have like a 75% customer retention rate, and 80% of them are on auto ship. They don't want to be without these products that are helping them, their families. And so we have been more than doubling every year, 48 million in year 3. It's been insane to see this growth. And when I look at this industry as a whole, I now understand how it gets a really bad rep, because it's such a low cost entry that it's an 80-20 rule, if even that. It's almost more like a 90-10 rule. Like 80% of the people that become involved in direct sales businesses do nothing. Like they join, and then they do nothing, and then they go tell everybody how they belong to this direct sales business. They don't say to anybody, yeah, I joined Green Compass, and I'm not making any money, because I don't do anything. I never talk about the company. I never talk about the product. I never introduce anybody to anything. They don't share that part of it. They just say, oh yeah, I'm not making any money. If you really wanted to just go out with my company and build a customer base and not bring other people on to a team, you could build a great customer base. With that kind of retention rate, it's insane. So yeah, who knew that direct sales was this incredible business model?
Yeah, it is a great business model. I've been involved with quite a few companies over the years, and some of them actually ended up folding. I was with an organic coffee company at one point, Our Mission Coffee, that ended up folding.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I've been in about 20 of them over the years. My last one was Juness Global, which was stem cell products, which look, all these companies had amazing products, I must say. And I think with all transparency, I think if you're doing MLM, just be transparent, which we've just done. We're just transparent.
Right.
And I'm all for, if you're going to refer someone to something, then, and you make a commission, fantastic, because that's
Right.
basically what it is. You make a commission for referring something. You don't
Right.
refer it just because you make a commission. You refer it because it's a good product.
Right.
And this is where MLMs had a bad name back in the day, I guess with the Amway days, where they say, oh, we've got this great opportunity for you, but they don't tell you it's an MLM. So people need to know what they're getting themselves into.
No,
You just want to
you're right.
Yeah, if you just want to buy the products, because most of the products in these MLM companies are fantastic. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to sell.
It's interesting to me how, like, I was watching, I don't even know who it was, Jennifer Aniston, somebody, yammering on about some product. And, and then people, all these celebrities that endorse these products, and people would buy these, and it's like, well, they're getting paid. It's like, you don't even know that they're for sure using the products. When you're talking to somebody in direct sales, I don't care what the company is, they decided to partner with that particular company because they believe in those products. And so who cares? Like, and no matter what you buy, somebody is getting money for it. If it's sitting on a retail shelf, people are getting commissioned for getting that store to take those products. It's so interesting how judgy I was the same way, though. I was just as bad. And the thing that I came to understand about direct sales that I didn't realize that it was just so cool is that, my career was a corporate professional HR sales and management person, right? So, and so I, come from that world. Well, when I got into this direct sales business model, I was like, I had never been in an environment where the only way I aspire and the only way that I grow is growing other people. I don't go anywhere if I'm not grabbing the arms of everybody around me. In the corporate world, there were people putting their thumb on me that were threatened or didn't want me, afraid I'd take their job. It's like in this industry, it's such a collaborative team kind of spirit. And then the other thing that blew my mind is that in 3 decades of working outside of this direct sales world, I have gotten more ongoing education and training and support and just like everything imaginable in 4.5 years than I got in 3 decades. It's like, what the actual hell is that about?
And that's what attracts a lot of people. Is it's low entry cost. You come into a team. A lot of the mentality is very positive mindset, which is one. It's definitely got its benefits. However, I think really with anyone getting into any MLMs, you really do your research on the company, do your research on the compensation structure, because I know a lot of different companies over the years, they've changed their compensation structure halfway along the way, and then the high income earners have lost their money, and there's all sorts of little things to be aware of. However, as far as products come, I have no doubt that these products, these particular products that your company is selling are fantastic products. And I'm curious, is it a worldwide thing or just for America?
I was going to say, oh my gosh, Aldwyn, because we barely even tapped the surface of the U.S. in these 4.5 years. We're heavily concentrated. We originated out of North Carolina. And if you look at the map of kind of where all of our advocates and where the concentration is, there's so much untapped area within this country. So there's that as to why we haven't expanded. But the other reason is that what we were kind of talking about earlier when I was trying to get clarification about what was happening in Australia. When I first joined Green Compass, the dry weight allowance of legal hemp in the EU was 0.2%. And in the US, it was 0.3. So our products could not go over to Europe. They would be not considered legal over there. And so we need all of the countries to really come together, and we need to be synergistic in how we're going to define this in order for the expansion to happen. If you look at a lot of times US companies, the first place they expand into is Canada. And Canada is I think Canada and New Zealand are the only 2 countries in the world that have countrywide legal cannabis. It is legal across all of the country. And so they're not that excited to bring us in And they've got a lot of regulation in play because it's legal across the entire country. And a big thing, I think with Canada, I was reading the other day that, like the farming has to be happening in Canada. And so there's just a lot that has to happen for this. But our company is called Green Compass Global. And that was intentional. This company will be global. And you can bring it to Australia because you will not find a higher quality brand.
Okay,
you just
well,
won't.
Let's talk about that later. Maybe I'll bring it into Australia, guys. Okay, watch this space. This could be the birth of bringing Green Compass Global into Australia. I mean, I must say I love the THC. The CBD oils that I've tried all together. I don't know how much THC. I have to have a look at the bottle that my friend has, but it was definitely one that he got through. Because in Australia, you have to go to a doctor. You have to get a letter to say that you can then legally get, cannabis type products from the pharmacy, and then it's about $150 for a tiny little capsule like this of sort of either the buds, or you can get the oil. So they're still about $150 plus you pay $100 to the government as well. They get their little bit on it. And I was actually just looking up some of the costs in Australia to be able to have a license to grow cannabis is like $13,000, ridiculous amount. So obviously the government's always sticking their little hand in there saying, oh, yeah, we want to do cannabis. Yeah, we'll just take our little cut on the way. Thank you very much. And that's just what they do, right? And no doubt in America.
In Australia, and this is what I was trying to understand, I'm going to do my research when we get off this call, but can you buy CBD? Can you order it online? Have it sent to you? Can you buy? Is there a legal allowed level of a product that you're able to buy outside of having the card and going through the medical marijuana dispensary?
I know in Canberra, in the capital of Australia, we were allowed back in the day, we were allowed to grow 4 plants for personal use only. So I know back there it was. However, I do believe now, I know on the Gold Coast, I'm in Queensland now, the Gold Coast, I know you have to actually have a doctor's certificate.
So there's no CBD available to purchase on that you can, not that I know of. No. Okay. And you can only get it from the doctor if you have something like ADHD or you have anxiety or you have some kind of medical condition that you need it for. So I was diagnosed ADHD recently. Apparently a lot of entrepreneurs are ADHD. And that means basically that you have trouble.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, things
we have so many kids that are taking our broad spectrum nano jellies because of calming them down, all of that anxiousness, all of those kinds of things. If I would have had this available, my daughter has ADHD, if I would have had this available to give to her when she was in middle school and got diagnosed, quote unquote, as ADHD, I would have given her this in a New York minute. And I'm never going to tell anyone, in fact, when I'm talking to people, I always ask, are you on any prescription medication? Do you get drug tested? Those are the 2 big questions that I always ask. And that is because CBD can either enhance or diffuse the effectiveness of those prescription medications. And so I always tell people, don't ask permission from your doctor because they don't feel comfortable. It's still awkward for them. So they're just worried about, what they can and can't say. So just tell them, I'm looking to integrate this into my health and wellness. And I want you to be aware because you're prescribing these other, medications. And I know this can sometimes enhance or diffuse the effectiveness. So you can keep an eye on my prescription levels. What will happen a lot of times is that those synthetic medication prescription levels drop as they're integrating, these products into their life. And then if a doctor, though, flat out says, no, don't do that, whatever, you need to listen to your doctor. Most doctors will be like, okay, great, good to know. And they'll just kind of go from there. The thing about drug testing is that a full spectrum where they're extracting everything just from the plant like it is, even with that tiny trace amount of THC, it's not going to get you high, but you're feeding it into your body every day. Because remember, I was saying you need to consistently be taking this. Therefore, if you get drug tested, you don't want to take full spectrum CBD because it might show up. It's very likely it could show up in a drug test. And different companies test different things. Typically, you can take broad spectrum if it's a very high quality and you know where you're getting it from, so you know you can validate everything it says that it is. Then a broad spectrum takes that trace amount of THC out. And if you're using a topical, like I said earlier, that is not an issue. There's no issue with that whatsoever. Like, that will never show up in a drug test. The only topical that would show up in a drug test is a transdermal patch that can break through the skin barrier. But if it's not that, anything you're just rubbing on your skin will never show up in a drug test.
Yes, so interesting. Oh my gosh, there's a whole world we've uncovered here today talking about CBD and cannabis. So much I had no idea about, and I'm sure many people watching this had no idea about. And thank you so much to everyone who's joined us. We've got Aroha Lyons here. It says, love your honesty, Aldwyn, when I was talking about my experience with it. Thank you, Aroha. Appreciate that. And for those who are joining either live or on the replay, let us know, what are you getting out of this conversation so far? And do you have any questions for us if you are on the live? Any questions for us? Love to know also where you join us from. Where are you in the world? And what are you grateful for today? Bonus question. What are you grateful for today? Let us know in the comments. And I'm certainly grateful for you, Jackie. What an amazing conversation this is. I'm absolutely loving it. And thank goodness for Facebook, for Ken finding you on Facebook.
Actually. I know. I'm so happy. The more I can just sort of spread hemp wellness across the world, it's just, it's become my passion, and it's really my mission. And there's no better feeling than, sitting here in my home office and getting a text message from one of my customers saying, oh my gosh, I've slept better than I've slept in 10 years. Or I had a woman who was like, I was able to get up and down my stairs for the first time without my knee just killing me. It's just all of those kinds of intrinsic rewards. In addition to, clearly I'm building a business and I'm building a team and helping other people build a business. But that feeling of just making that kind of a difference in people's lives, it's incredible.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And so at the moment, it's just for America. This Green Compass is just in America at the moment. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you're looking to bring it into Australia. Okay. And I'm curious, I just had a look at this CBD distillery as well. It's thecbddistillery.com, and they've got a whole lot of products here, interestingly. And you can get you can subscribe, and you can get things a lot cheaper if you subscribe and get these things sent monthly. Is that another sort of MLM, that one, Ken, or is that just an online shop that you've been shopping from?
So I heard about them through a alternate media source that I tend to watch a lot, and they are called badlandsmedia.tv. They've got lots of really cool programs. One of their sponsors is this CBD distillery. And the cool thing about going through them is the main founder of Badlands Media, John Harold, he's got a special promo code that you can use with CBD distillery products, and you get 20% off your order. So, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, got it.
And so I have,
Oh, I just noticed, just on the website, it says they don't do international shipping with that company either. So they don't ship to Guam, Puerto Rico, or the US Virgin Islands either. So there might be different rules in those places in America as well.
It's the same thing. It's like, even if I don't believe the CBD distillery is a direct sales business. I know that, like with Green Compass, we have a similar thing. Like if they go on auto ship, and they get a 20% discount. And if they become my customer, they also get a 10% discount, or they get a $10 off on their first order. But these companies in the US, if it's a US company, most of them can't ship out of the country because of what I was talking about earlier. So, we legalized this across our country at the levels that we defined it, but it's not in line necessarily with other countries and what they're doing. I do know that the EU did bump up to 0.3%. So I think they are in line with us now. The interesting thing is that this farm bill in the US that's going to be up for discussion and is going to be defined in the next several months. One of the things that the hemp industry is really trying to push for, part of the problem that has happened in our country is that there was a company, and I told Ken about this, I won't go into all the details, but there was a company in the UK that got an FDA approved drug called Epidiolex before our farm bill passed. And Epidiolex is pure CBD. It's not synthetic. It's, you know, and Epidiolex is for 2 rare forms of child epilepsy. And they got that FDA approved, and then in the summer of 2018, and then that farm bill passed in December. So it created all of this. I truly believe that the goal was to start to get that FDA approval so that everything else that now has to funnel through the FDA as a drug, anything with CBD is now a drug. And therefore it can't, you know, it has to go through that chain, that process. But what no one banked on was that they were going to carve out CBD and carve out cultivated hemp with this low THC content and make that legal. So the reason why there is so, and Epidiolex sells for $35,000 for an annual prescription. It's ridiculous. It's, and I was looking at that and going, that's the bottle I have sitting here for $90. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is what we're dealing with in the big pharma world, right? And so I looked at that, and plus I'm in Colorado years ago, over 12 years ago now. The Stanley brothers, 7 brothers here in Colorado, cultivated Charlotte's Web, which is a low THC, high CBD content strain that they grew specifically for Charlotte, Fiji, who was suffering from horrible seizures from the time she was born. She was having like 300 seizures a day. And they created this low THC content CBD product, and it took her to like 3 a month. It was ridiculous. Charlotte, Fiji was just, people started bringing their families to Colorado to get their hands on this CBD. Charlotte's Web is actually the name of the company, but it's also the name of the strain. And so when you look at kind of what was happening with all of that, and then Epidiolex getting FDA approved, the reason why the regulations have been so just stymied here in this country is that as soon as something is approved as a drug, it can't be a food additive. It can't be a dietary supplement. And that makes sense, because I don't want, you know, a coating in my chocolate bar, or, you know, so when you think about that, it's like, okay, I get that. And therefore, the FDA was having a really hard time trying to figure out how to regulate this industry. They're like, because the push from the hemp industry is, this should be a food additive, this should be a dietary supplement, here's why, blah, blah, blah. And they got so like up in arms about not being able to regulate it that they finally kicked it over to Congress. And in fact, our president and CEO are on the US Hemp Authority board. They were in DC several months ago working with Congress to come up with these regulations, because the FDA is saying our hands are tied. We don't know how to regulate this industry. And meanwhile, you have, as I was telling Ken earlier, you have companies out there selling CBD chocolate, CBD brownies, all of this stuff, putting CBD in drinks and all these things because there aren't enough people to police it. So right now, this wild, wild west that's going on, a lot of these things are federally not legal. And we're pushing to say, let's tighten up, let's regulate the industry, and then we can have these things available in these other methods, in these other forms. But that's why there still is all of this bottleneck, and they're banking on this farm bill to help get it going. So one of the things that they're pushing for, the hemp industry is pushing for, is let's up the THC level to 1%. Let's go from 0.3% to 1%. 1% is still not intoxicating. We've already established that THC is not the bad guy here, but there's benefits to this entourage effect let us have a higher content level of this stuff. So those are the things that are going to start to come, I think, to fruition when this new farm bill comes out, at least in the US, you know, and as far as that goes. And maybe that will help filter out to other countries.
Now, I know, like, speaking speaking on the lines of, you know, so switching a little bit here from CBD to THC.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned early on with my experimentation with THC is there's two different main strands of THC. There's sativa and there's indica. Sativa is more of a head high. That's kind of where you get the wee up in your head, and indica is more of the body high. And so when I do use the THC, the actual THC, indica is usually what I go for because it's just the nice overall body high. And that too also takes care of any aches and pains that I may have and stuff like that. But when I just, you know, and obviously when I really want to have just like a fun time, you know, then sure, I'll go for sativa. But I'm just wondering what your thoughts on those two different strands are.
And it's interesting because the strains are, like, our products are all derived from sativa. And there are products, and indica is typically a higher content of THC. If you look at cannabis sativa, I mean, you know, the thing that is also kind of gets confusing for people is that there's really no such thing as a marijuana plant, right? The difference, it's a cannabis plant, so it's cannabis sativa. But if it's cultivated with a high THC content, that's the marijuana side of it. If it's cultivated with a low THC content, that's the industrial hemp piece of it. So and they also grow differently. Like if you're growing hemp for, you know, like you can grow hemp to, like, you know, 8 feet tall. You know, our hemp that we grow like a marijuana plant. You know, it starts in the greenhouse. I mean, what's so cool about Green Compass that I love to tell people is that when we always say, be careful, do you know where your hemp comes from? Because that's so important with it being such a scavenger plant. Our hemp is all of it on our farm. We still have acres left on our farm. It all started with one seed from Oregon and planting it in a greenhouse and creating a mother plant and doing the clippings and creating the next generation and creating the next generation. So if you want to talk about traceability, you know, look at that. Like, that's insane, the transparency of the purity of these products. But what they'll do is they'll grow it in the greenhouse initially, and then they'll take it out and they'll plant it in the farm, and then they'll cultivate it to a level, because the thing is, the longer it sits in the ground, the higher the THC content goes. So that's why one of the big things that happened, I remember when I first got involved in this industry, there were a bunch of farmers in California that they had a huge class action lawsuit going because they were like, we lost millions of dollars because you didn't have enough of a regulatory capability to come and measure our THC content. So they sat there too long. Now it's too high. If it has too high of a THC content, it's considered a hot crop and it has to be destroyed. So in terms of what was made legal. So these farmers lost millions of dollars because they didn't get out there and test it fast enough. So there's so much about if you're growing it for CBD products versus if you're growing it for the stalks, because you're going to use it for hempcrete or hemp wood instead of hardwood. I mean, there's so many uses of hemp, and they're going to look different in terms of how they're grown and how they're cultivated.
Even hemp clothes, I've heard that hemp clothes are actually better for you.
Absolutely. I mean, like the part
clothes on your body is what I mean, not clothes. Clothes on your body. Yeah.
Part of the whole, you know, when you look, like I was saying earlier about just the greed and the politics of this being in prohibition, a lot of this was around hemp, because of other industrial hemp. The textile industry, highly threatened by hemp. They're not threatened by marijuana. They're threatened by hemp. they had when I first started with Green Compass, I was reading about a company that got a $10 million grant from the government to create the first hempwood company. So they were going to, instead of hardwood floors, you would have hempwood floors, which a lot less trees are killed. I mean, this is a weed that grows so easy and fast. Our harvest and cultivation time is like not even, it's like 6 months. I mean, they start planting this stuff and they're harvesting it not even 6 months. So if you look at hempwood versus hardwood, and you look at the durability and you look at all that, but the hardwood and the lumber industry doesn't like that. You look at hempcrete, which is like concrete, only better, stronger, tougher. They don't like that. There's so many threatened industries threatened by hemp.
Yes, how interesting. Very interesting, isn't it? There's always something else going on in the background, my friends, and do your own research. But, it blows me away, $13,000 to have a cannabis growing license in Australia. $13,000.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And get this, any license variations, if you have a type 1 license variation, $580, actually to be exact, $13,220 for a single license application, and a variation of type 2 is $1,470 each variation on your license. And this is as of the 1st of August 2023, right, from about a month ago. And license variations, a type 3 variation, whatever the hell this means, is $2,170 to the government. Any variations on your cannabis growing licenses here in Australia. It is insane in the membrane. And so there you go, my friends.
I'm going to say one more thing here, and then we do have to start wrapping up, Jackie. It's getting near time. It's getting a little late here. But I am going to say one thing in regards to hemp being a threat to the quote unquote industry. No surprise. Anything that is natural, anything that is healthy, anything that is better for us, that threatens their pocketbook, big tech, which is why, again, just as Aldwyn says, do your own research. But we've had enough shows, and we've put out enough bombshells for you guys. You guys know our beliefs and how we feel about the industry out there.
Yeah.
But look, that industry out there, almost all of it is not in the benefit for we the people. All of it is in the benefit of their own pocketbook.
Right.
I'll even go as far as check this out. Some people know this, some people don't. Some people have cognitive dissonance against this, and they're just like, "Wait, what? No, I just thought that was something fake in the far past and everything else." I've recently seen some documentaries and videos on this particular, and this is off the subject, what I'm going to mention here. And I believe it. I believe it 100%. I'm going to tell you that much. Did you know that a car, an actual automobile, is capable of running off of water? It was created years ago. And the guy who created it got banished, pretty much, got destroyed because it threatened what? The industry.
Yeah.
It's just interesting, you guys. So just got to mention that here. Yeah.
Do your own research.
It makes you start thinking about things like, I don't know if you guys remember a film called Silkwood, but just the whole idea of, I look at we can put somebody on the moon and we can't come up with a cure for some of these cancers, but then you look at that industry and the money in that industry, and it's like, you come back and you go, well, I guess if we had no cancer, then that industry there wouldn't be billions of dollars in that industry. So you do start to wonder, you do start to feel like, okay, well, who's really interested in what our best interests here? It's really tough. It is.
And the other thing about cancer really quickly here is, do you know one of the cures for cancer is very simple. It's simply starve it to death, no sugar, no carbs. Did you know that that's part of a cure? No sugar, no carbs. Sugar and carbs, by the way, I'm also going to preface this by saying there is no essential carb, there is no essential sugar. You don't need any of it.
Either of those.
And neither of those. And sugar is actually one of the main contributors to cancer. It feeds off of it. So just something else for you guys to think about.
Something else. And something else to research. Watch Cancer the Forbidden Cures. It is in the Conscious Community Global Facebook group. Like, we have a whole lot of documentaries featured in that Facebook group, Conscious Community Global. So check it out. There's been a whole lot of cures for cancer over the years that have been shut down by big pharma. I love that, big pharma companies.
Yeah.
Love that.
Have shut down because more people have actually died from the treatment of cancer than from the cancer itself, believe it or not. There's massive money in chemotherapy, etc. So do your own research, my friends. Make informed choices for yourself. We do really need to wrap up. It's been a fascinating conversation. I want to give a plug to an amazing festival we have here in Australia called Nimbin Mardi Gras Festival, and I'm just going to pop the link up here to check it out. Nimbin Mardi Gras. Now, I actually was at this event about 10 years ago. I was actually crewing on it. I was helping with the event, and it's turned into a big festival now over the years. And what I love about this event is that it's about protesting, educating, and celebrating the weed, right? And they've got some really cool posters on this website: free the weed and save the planet, get back to the garden. It's a really, really cool event, and they've got like videos. You can check out the website. But, these people in Nimbin's known to be sort of like the, the hemp, the cannabis, the dope weed capital of Australia. Nimbin's in northern New South Wales, a country town that a lot of people were going to get their weed. And then they did a whole lot of drug busts of natural, cannabis plantations out in those areas where people were growing their own. And so now there's not as much of the natural weed available as there used to be, and a lot of people are doing the hydroponics. However, it's been around since the beginning of the time. Now the government has said, yes, we'll make it legal, just keep paying us lots of money and we'll make it legal for you now, and then everyone can have it and get it from big pharma and keep them going, and they can get their commissions, the doctors can get their commissions, and blah blah blah, right? And it keeps things rolling. So anyway, it's just the way things are. No doubt it will continue to be an underground thing as well as it's an above ground thing. Above ground and below ground, it'll be every which way around. People are going to get their hands on this stuff. It is an absolute miracle healing plant. It's a beautiful healing plant that we know, the cannabis plant, and it's like tobacco. The original form of tobacco was used for all sorts of healing as well back in the day. In fact, there's books published in Europe and Mexico from 1537 to 1559, where they actually looked at the medicinal uses of tobacco as well. And a lot of indigenous populations around the world use tobacco for things such as healing the body from catarrh, colds, fevers, to aid digestion, to prevent hunger, the original form of tobacco. Yet what we've done now through time is a whole lot of crap has been added to cigarettes, and it's made it toxic, right? We've gone from what's been actually a beautiful healing plant, tobacco, and just like cannabis, has been demonized over time for all sorts of things. We've had burning of the witches at the stake in England for years because they knew about a whole lot of natural medicines that big pharma didn't want out there, right? So there's all sorts of things that have happened through the beginning of time. And as you say, Jackie, they can get a man on the moon, but did they really get a man on the moon? Now
that's the other thing. Like, did it even really happen? I know.
Don't get me started on that. We will be here for another hour. Okay?
For another conversation. I can feel it.
Another conversation, my friends. We do need to wrap up. So just in wrapping up, Jackie, how can people get in touch with you, and how can they get some of the products in America?
I would love to help anyone now, and they got to be in my country, unfortunately. Love to help anyone integrate hemp wellness into their life. But first and foremost, if you do nothing else from watching this, reach out to me and I will help you for the most cost-effective way possible feel better with these incredible products. The other thing is that there is an amazing business opportunity attached to this. This industry is on fire. This company is miles ahead already to where this industry is going to go when it comes to quality, innovation, and regulation. And I love, more than anything, helping people become entrepreneurial, helping them add a side hustle. This does not have to be your full-time thing. It is for many with Green Compass because of how fast we've grown. but this is an amazing thing that anyone and everyone should just get into this industry in any way that they can. And this particular company has the best opportunity out there. So I encourage people to reach out to me. I am not going to push this business on you. If you reach out, we can talk specifically about health and wellness and all of that. But yeah, I would love to, this is my passion. This is what I love to do. So you can reach me. The best way is on my link tree, because if you go to that link tree, it's the linktr.ee/Nairne. In there, there is a link, there's a little shopping cart that will take you straight to the Green Compass website. Study it, read about it. There's so much great information on there. Also, though, there are incredible, very short videos that introduce you to this company, introduce you to CBD. They're like 2 to 3 to 4 minute videos, and they will give you so much insight. Watch those. You can set up a Calendly meeting with me there, and I am here to provide anything and everything that I can to people that just want to put hemp wellness into their lives.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jackie. And that link there for those listening to the audio, it's linktr.ee/JNAIRNE. That's JNAIRNE. And your little putty cat, Ken, oh my gosh, adorable. Adorable, adorable.
So cute.
Darling. Oh, sweetheart.
Okay.
You just muted there, Ken. Your beautiful little putty cat.
Yes, he is, and he's normally not this patient.
No. Has he had some drops of the oil today, Ken? Has he?
Oh my gosh!
No, he's telling Daddy that I'm being patient right now because I know you're going to feed me soon.
That's classic. You know that your cat has never done that for any of our 41 shows. Actually, sat there for that long. So
no, he hasn't. That's why I was really surprised. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're chilling here. So I
think he's
I just let him have a little. Yeah.
I think he's connecting and wanting some. I think he's wanting some, Ken, wanting some of those drops. Now, actually, just very quickly before we wrap up and share Ken's link and my link, and we do like to share a favorite quote for the day too, so we'll come back to that, Jackie. But very quickly, you were talking about the micro dosing. So how do you know how much to actually use of the oil under the tongue?
Yeah, if someone wants me to work with them, I love doing that. So I'm happy to do that. But I always tell people, you always start low and go slow. So if less is better than more. If you're taking our nano jelly, or if it's water soluble, if it's a water soluble gummy, you're going to cut that in half, and you're going to even possibly cut it into quarters, and take a quarter in the morning and a quarter later in the day, or just take a half at whatever point during the day. But you don't need more than that when you're first starting, and just pay attention to how you're feeling. If you're doing a sublingual under the tongue tincture, then you're going to start with typically maybe 750 milligram bottle. They come typically in 500, 750, and 1,000. So if you kind of start in the middle, and then you're going to do initially no more than a half of a dropper, so a half of a milliliter, and do that for the first 4 to 5 days. Make that list, like I said, of your issues. Sleep. How is your sleep on a scale of 1 to 10? Pain, 1 to 10. Mood, 1 to 10. Anxiousness, all of those different things. Start with that. See how you come out after that first 4 or 5 days, and then up the dose a little bit, and give that a few days and see what you notice in those numbers changing. The way you'll find your sweet spot dose is that you can't OD, you can't take too much of it where it's harmful, but you will get to a point where you're like, okay, I was feeling better at this level. But most people, on an average, are not taking a very high dose of daily CBD. So when somebody says, a lot of times I'll run into people that are like, I'm like, whoa, you're taking way too much. No wonder you're feeling the way you're feeling, or no wonder you're not getting the effects. That's the thing. I find that more often to be the case, that people, because I think they just think, oh, I'm not feeling it right away. I need more. We're such immediate gratification people. Give it time. Stay consistent. Do it every single day. And give it the time that it needs. It doesn't mean you need more necessarily. And again, don't spend more than you have to.
Beautiful. Thank you for those tips, Jackie. And what's your favorite quote or motto that you live by? And we'll come over to Ken in just a moment.
Before she says that, I'm gonna make one mention here, Jackie. So, in benefit to you. So here's how you know that somebody is not in it to get money from you, is when they say things like Jackie is saying. They're you know, Jackie's not telling you to get a whole bunch and da 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 da. Jackie is literally saying, in a sense, less is more, which, yes, I'll say bluntly, means less profits for her, but she's not concerned about the profits. She's concerned about your health and your well-being. So just also make note of that, guys. All right.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, good point, Ken. Thank you for that. Okay, what's your favorite quote or motto, Jackie, that you live by?
I mean, my motto that I live by, and it's my own, and people that know me know that I say this all the time, including my daughter. I truly believe that happiness is an inside job, and that it comes from gratitude and giving, and that and I tie that back to whenever I'm talking to somebody, and I'm always saying to them, don't if you expect someone else to make you happy, you are setting them up to fail. If you want something else to make you happy, you're setting that up to fail. It has to come from inside, and it comes from every day. There's something to be thankful for, no matter what you're going through. And I know that people have gone through hell and back a lot, but there's always something to just kind of hold on to that brings that gratitude back into your soul. And then giving. And the giving is not, I have a daughter who can struggle a lot of times with depression. And when she was in college and she was in that place, I would say, go to the Target, buy something, and compliment that cashier and make them feel good about who they are or what they're doing, or make a difference in that person's life just from you interacting with them. And that is giving. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be huge. And I always say, giving is not a completely selfless thing, because you get something from that. You can feel good about yourself and what you're doing. But that's my motto, is that happiness is an inside job, and it comes through gratitude and giving.
I love that. And always, give more than you receive to receive more than you give. That's just how it goes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Love that. Thank you so much, Jackie. That's been wonderful to hear your wisdom around this topic. And Ken, how can people connect with you?
Best way is through my Linktree, and there are 3 different links right at the top of my Linktree that I will give to you in just a minute. So my Linktree is www.linktr.ee/FatFighterKen. And that's for those of you who are listening via audio. Now, once you get there, so there's 3 different things. One is my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group. It's for people who want to lose weight and want to be empowered and want to be informed about what all that looks like. I talk about ingredients. I talk about the lies of the health and wellness industry out there. I have lots of different topics in that group that I provide. So that's one way. And number 2, book an appointment with me. My calendar link is right there at the top. It's within the first 3 links there. Might actually be number 1. Not sure though. Calendar link. Book an appointment with me. Even if you just decide not to hire me as a coach, let me deepen my connection with you. Let me give you some pointers and point you in the right direction for your weight loss journey. Notice I'm not saying diet. Forget about the whole diet concept. Throw it to the curb, burn it, get rid of it, because that is how the industry is making money too. The diet industry is designed to keep you overweight, sick, and stuck and on that hamster wheel. My passion is to help free you from that. So book an appointment with me. Lastly, you'll see a link in there for my website. Go to my website. You can check out my website. There's lots of cool things on there. Also, there's a link to my own personal podcast, which I am actually getting ready to reignite, if you will. And I just got through doing a almost 2-hour episode with a special guest of mine on the subject of seed oils. And as soon as I get done with the edits, that is going to be launched out as my launching episode to get things rolling again. And it was a fun time on that episode, let me tell you. So anyhow, that is it for me.
Great. And what's your favorite quote or motto you'd like to share today?
I am going to use my normal one just because that's the mood I am in right now. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. And that is coming to you by Donald J. Trump.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much, Ken. And for me, everyone who'd like to connect with me, you'll find all of my links at linktree/Aldwyn. It's linktr.ee/Aldwyn. I do have a YouTube channel, which we've had some content censored on, which you'll find on BitChute and Rumble. All my links are here. Media Queen TV, inspiring truth and good news is what you'll find on YouTube, as long as we're up there. So Linktree, linktr.ee/Aldwyn. We have a monthly Global Good News Challenge where you can share gratitude and good news. It's free marketing for you. We have a 9-day challenge for September. And for this month, my challenge, I uncovered all things about lies, different types of lies, white lies, lies by omission, pathological lies. And it's been a fascinating challenge I've done this month. So anytime within September, you can start your 9-day challenge. It's simple live videos sharing gratitude and good news. You can see all the details at the top of the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page. Okay, all the details there. And we add you to a private group after you do your challenge. You can win prizes. We share you out to thousands of people. And it's a great way that you will lift your energy and lift the energy on the planet, as well as help decrease depression and suicide rates at the same time. The other thing that we have is a Launch Your Own Global TV show, brand new event that I've just launched. And I am doing another one coming up in about 2 weeks' time. We're going to have that up online shortly. So that's for anyone who wants to launch an online TV show and get out to the world like we are right here. We will be running you through all of that. So reach out for that. I have my calendar link as well in my link tree. You can see that at that link tree as well, the calendar link. I've just updated my dates till the end of October in my calendar. There are a few dates in there. I suggest if you want to get in now. Well, I've just updated the calendar there for that. And of course, I've mentioned the Conscious Community Global Facebook group as well, that we have some amazing resources in there for you. If you haven't seen the Thrive documentaries, if you haven't seen Out of Shadows, Seaspiracy, What the Health, there's so many other amazing docos out there. You'll find them featured in here. Cancer, the Forbidden Cures, we've mentioned. They're all in this Conscious Community Global Facebook group. Okay, so go in there, look at the featured section. And if you have anything you want to add to that too, any other great documentaries you found, please pop the links in there as well, and just say must see, and then I'll make sure I feature it to the top of the profile there as well. So that's most of the links there, I think, are the things. Oh, and we've got the Animal Action Day for cats, of course, coming up. We've got a big fundraiser for cats coming up on the Gold Coast, October 8. We've got an ABBA Tribute Experience show. We've got Bobby Running Fox, Native American performer. He's a Cherokee originally, coming to perform. We've got Don Allen, Alana Fitzgerald. We have a few amazing speakers raising funds for cats to help injured and abandoned cats on the Gold Coast to help rehome them. I recently rescued a cat from Wildcats, thanks to Wildcats, Barbara Jackson, who runs that. And I have Pablo with me. And we talked a lot about this on our last show, Total Truth Show, where we talked about the truth about animal intelligence with Annie Burke. So Ken and I both covered a lot about our cats in that episode. And my favorite quote for today is a Margaret Mead one: a small group of thoughtful people can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you so much for joining us today on Total Truth Show. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Jackie. You've been amazing.
Thank you.
No doubt we'll do some more down the track. Thank you, Ken. Always a pleasure. And we send you lots of love. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world. And a big thank you to, just a quick shout out to, for beautiful Annika Van Ziel. I spoke to her the other day over in South Africa. She's joining us from South Africa here, and she actually says good night for our American friends and good morning for our Australian friends, or parts of the world right now where people are waking up. So thank you for that, Annika. Love your work, and sending you all lots of love. Let us know in the chat here if you've enjoyed this episode. Let us know what you got out of it. Share the love, and let's help raise awareness out there and encourage people to question everything. We'll see you again soon here on Total Truth Show. Bye for now. Bye.